Good evening. This is Under Shepherd L.V. Brown Jr. Just coming to you just to share a little bit about what we've got going on, the new developments in our lives and in our ministry. Just thankful to God for vision. You know, God is the kind of God that He doesn't necessarily show you everything up front. He gives you bits and pieces as you need to know basis, I guess, you know. And so for me, God has always worked with me by not giving me I see vision of a broad picture, but He doesn't give me pretty much direction on how He's going to get it to that place of the finality of the vision. And so it's always with dips and turns and with different things going on. And so for us, there has been a shifting of vision of the assignment that God has given us here in Midland. Now, we still carry great vision for the city of Midland. It is our heart to see healthy church on the south side of Midland. That is the driving passion of my life today, still. Ever since God set my feet on the soil here in Midland, and in this church in particular, 4.5 years ago, I took on the work of under-shepherding this church, and God has given me His heart for the south side of Midland. I beat that drum everywhere I go. I am to the point of that's the assignment that burns within my belly 100% is for healthy church. You see, this is what I know about church. I know that Jesus said, I will build my church and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. So Jesus says the answer for victory is in His church. Now, the devil and culture today tells you that the last thing you need is church. The last thing you need is some preacher to come telling you about the future and about God. No. A lot of thieves, a lot of charlatans, a lot of snake oil tricksters then come in God's name. And the devil has it that way on purpose. You see, when Jesus said, I'm going to build my church, the devil said, game on. That's the business that I need to get into. That's exactly where the devil wants to be. The devil is most comfortable in church because he knows God said this is the answer. So he's going to spend all of his energy and all of his efforts to get you to say, the last answer in the world I need is another church. But yet, God is not going to change His mind. He said, I will build my church and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. So for me, I know and believe the answer for all our problems is still found in the body of Christ. It's still found in the called out ecclesia that Jesus said He's building. It's not a building. It's not an organization. It's not a system that men fleece men. But the church is a system where those who are lovers of God and followers of Jesus Christ come together with a pure heart to say, let's follow God. Let's build in accordance to what God said. We're listening to the apostles. We're listening as far as to the prophets, and we're following the pattern that God has set to find the truth of what God intended. And so this is something that is at the core heart of what I believe. You know, when I look at the south side of Midland, when I look at the ghetto, when I look at the hood, when I look at all of the hard-hit places in our culture today, and you've got a little church, just like this little old church, on every corner. These little broke down monuments even of failure, if you get just pretty crude about it. When I look at this, I say, that don't undermine God said this is the answer, His church. That don't speak to the fact that God said the gates of hell shall not prevail against this church. You see, we've got to get a new vision for what this means. We've lost our way. God hasn't lost His way, and God hasn't changed. God doesn't have a plan B. God has one plan, plan A. And He said, my bride, my body, my bride, and my body, I left you here. He said, occupy until I come. That don't mean just survive. That means be salt, be light, be life. And so I just believe that for the south side of Midland. And I believe if God can do it here, God can do it anywhere. So God has placed me here. And my drive, my energy, and my passion is to see God build biblical church so that a community can be truly reborn. So that life from the least of these can be found. You know, I live deep in the South here in Midland, and I get to see young children I get to see broken families, broken lives, broken people. I mean, marriage is something that's unheard of over here. To find a man and his wife and their children living, you find women with boyfriends passing through, and the pain and the drama and the foolishness that comes from those kind of scenarios is pain, a lot of pain. It might look like Midland is prospering. It might look like there's a lot of money, a lot of wealth, a lot of good things going on. But if you dig a little deeper than surface, you'll find hurting people. And God and his gospel was meant for hurting people. And I believe that it's time for the city to get a vision for the pain that's on the south side of Midland. And so that's a challenge to Christians. That's a challenge to church. You know, I've been on this assignment here for 4.5 years. And the Lord allowed me to just take the approach of going to the street, going to declare a word into the atmosphere, speaking from the street corners and declaring a word. And it was so awesome because the little church here, they go with me. Man, I have, it might not be many of us, but boy, I tell you what, when they talk about evangelism, probably 80% of the church was evangelizing. You know, a lot of times you find 10% maybe, but 80% gonna go out there and say, Pastor, I'm with you. I support you. And that's been the whole time we've been here. It's been such a blessing to be on assignment, to be on a vision, because we believe that there's power in the gospel of Jesus Christ. And so don't, in what God is doing today, don't think that we've lost vision. Don't think that we've lost our way. We haven't. I believe what happened is I've been running. I don't know if you ever seen that movie, Forrest Gump. But Forrest was just running and running and running and running. He'd been through some things, and he's just running and running. And finally, he says, I'm tired. I want to go home. And for me, I seen things that if we build it, they will come. And so when I came out of Bible school, you see, I left my life to do this. I had a good life. I was working in the oil field, had a nice family, a nice life, making more money ever in my life. And God encountered me. He encountered me with an accident. I had an accident out there working on the rigs, and I laid in the dirt for 1.5 hours. I laid there saying, God, if you'll let me live, I'll focus. I'll pay attention. You see, this is one thing I know. Life is bigger than life. I'm dying just like you. I'm going somewhere. Where are you going? Where are we going? You see, you can get so caught up living that you forget you're dying. And me, I was so caught up living at that time, I forgot I was dying and that I'm going to answer to the King. And so there's a verse in the Bible that says, what will it profit a man if he gain the whole world and lose his soul? Man, I was gaining the world for me. I mean, it may not be what you think, but for me, boy, I was on the come up and I was gaining. And so I'm so busy with this gain and with this life, not recognizing that finality, truth is coming. And what will I do when I look into the face of truth? When he says, I gave you an assignment. I called you to under shepherd my flock. Where were you? I was on the rig. I was busy working. I was not paying attention to that, but chasing that dollar. That was me. But God in his sovereign grace allowed me to bump my head that he might wake me up for a minute. And he woke me up and he got my attention. And he put me on this assignment. And so this is what I come from. This is my background of you know, and not only that, you see, I don't carry this just for me. You know, my father was a man that he left everything to follow his vision of God. He left his family, his whole known reality to chase this dream, a vision of God. And he pulled us out to Brownwood, Texas, and to Rosavina, Texas, and he started from there. And so I see myself as a part of his story. It's not my own. I carry his story also. I carry the vision that God gave him of a revival, of a powerful encounter with God that man would have that would change everything in their lives. My father believed in this great revival, this great awakening, this great power of the gospel of Jesus Christ. And he just believed that in his lifetime, he was going to see God do something very great. Well, my father's dead. He's gone to his reward. But I'm alive. And has his vision died? Has his dream died? I say it hasn't. Just like Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they carried the same vision. the same promise and the same dream. But God is a generational God. And so for me, I see that I've been grafted into his story. I've been grafted into a vision that didn't originate with me, but yet I carry it. And I want to see what I know the gospel can do in the life of people. It can change everything. It can bring health to hopelessness. I see people hurting. I see people broken. I see people that have never recovered honestly from the pain of the past. And I look at this and I say, God, I don't want this to be the legacy and the lineage of our time here in America and on this earth. I just believe, God, that your gospel is still the answer. Your truth is still the answer. And so ringing this bell and trying to get people to return to a true, honest attempt at following God. You see, religion has made us robots. It's made us people who believe in systems and in formulas more than a true and living God. I go to church and the preacher blesses me and I give him $1, and that's the system. That's the game. But God intended far more than just that system of you give and God gives. God intended a relationship. God intended something far greater than religion, a living relationship with a living God. And I just believe that. And I'm sold on that being the answer. But what was going on is I had it as an individual. I could only see what I could see, and I could only do what I trusted, what was in my heart. See, I didn't trust a lot of religion, people, and Christians. I thought a lot of games were going on in God's name. So I just want to build what's in my heart. And so for 4.5 years, we're here building what was in my heart to build, building the vision. And I say, you know what? I'm not going to play games. I'm not here for your money. I won't take one offering. Never one time did I pass the plate and say offering time in this church. Never one time did I put some kind of appeal on people for anything financially in this church. Why? Because I've seen so many games and hustles in that I even overcorrected to stay far away from that image of being a hustler in God's name. So I said, no, we're not going to do that. I'll fund the bill, and if people want to give, God will put it in their heart to give. And we're not going to stop them, but we're not going to mention one thing about a need or about a time to give and all this stuff. No, we don't do. And God supplied every need the church had. God allowed us to do, we gave to community. We as a little old bitty church, little old broke down house church, we done a lot of giving for our community. And that was at the heartbeat of what we wanted to do. It's who we are. And we made this house, God said, a house of prayer. You see, this is the vision that I wanted to build. Is what I saw from the Bible. When you look at temple worship, or when the people first came together to worship in the temple, it was the temple that Solomon built. When Solomon built the temple, Solomon dedicated, and he said something that's very crucial that we understand when you're talking about corporate worship, or what does this mean? What is this about? Is it about coming and connecting with the who's who and the what's and connecting with like the social club or the country club or the little, good old boy systems and all of that? Is this what this is about? Is it about manipulation, game, hustle, trying to find a date, a wife, a fling, or whatever going on in all of these games? What is the point? And the point was this. When Solomon dedicated the temple, he said, God, when people come to this house and pray, let it be a place where they can reconnect to you. Those that have sinned, those that have lost their way, those that have been overcome by their enemies even. Let them come to this place and pray to you and find forgiveness and find mercy and find reconnect with you again. And you heal them and you bring them back from their failure and from their sin and from their brokenness, that you recover them, that you restore them. Anytime they pray, let them find mercy in this place. The house of God is a place that people come together to find, reconnect with God and one another. Those that have lost their way and said, man, I've been overcome, that we can say, God, I'm sorry. I see it. I repent. And you find mercy and grace from God. No other thing was it all about in its original understanding than that. And so it was our heart to reproduce that, to rebuild that pureness of spirit and worship. No game, no hustle, no leaven of foolishness from man. And I think God allowed me in my childhood to go through a lot of foolishness and games and hustles so that it would develop in me a disdain for foolishness, games, and hustles. I have no stomach for anyone that would lie on God, for anyone that would play games. Oh, God's telling me, give me $100 and God's going to bless you. He going to make a way. That situation you got going on, prove God and he going to do it. Won't he do it? You know, there's a time and place that we've got to stop ignoring hustlers in God's name, ignoring the games, and just say, you know what, enough's enough. God and his house has gotten a bad name because we've sit back and watched people hustle without even saying anything. I have no respect for churches, preachers, and leaders who will hustle, rob people in God's name. That's evil, I believe, at the very core. And we have a lot of that. I'm not impressed with much preachers, what people say preachers and Christians and leaders are. You'd be hard pressed. I don't talk much because it ain't my fight to go fight men. But I tell you, I have not much respect for much what we call superstar, great preachers. I don't know many great preachers. I don't know. I believe our leaders today, they get an F. We get an F. Not they, I'm sorry. We get an F. If you put what we've done in God's name, if you put them over Walmart or some Fortune 500 company and we run it into the ground the way that we've run the name of God into the ground in our generation, you'd get fired overnight, quick. But you can run the name of God, the church of God, the integrity of God in the ground as we've done over the past 40 years. And we keep our jobs. Something's wrong. Something's definitely wrong when what we've done in God's name, we've not been corrected. And so there's correction coming. There's an overhaul of liars and imposters that have been harboring and hiding in the house of God that's going to be cleaned out. Jesus came and he cleaned out the temple first. He ran them out. He says, you no longer sell. You're no longer going to make my Father's house a den of thieves. Boy, to God, that men would arise that play no games any longer. To God, that men, sons would arise that say, I'm not going to participate. As a matter of fact, we're going to run you out playing games in God's name. That's what the Church of Jesus Christ needs in so many ways. So, but getting all the way back to what I was saying, I've been trying to build that alone, not trusting the body. You know, God is coming back for his body, not a man, not an individual, a body. And so for me, God had to allow me on this journey to just get out here and run with all my strength, trying to build what I see as the vision that God has for his people, the answer that God has for the people. And so I'm out here all by myself thinking that I can't trust nobody else. It's just me and you, that Elijah syndrome, to where it's just me, God. I'm the only one left. Everybody else, they're playing around with Baal and the false gods and the hustle, but just me. And God allowed me this time of just running. But I'm so thankful today that God allowed me to say I'm tired. I'm so thankful today that God allowed me a group of Christians. You know, I've been going to a lot of churches in this past at least 3 years. I started just talking to pastors and leaders in the community and trying to just share my heart with the problems I see on the South Side and the need we have over here. And so I've been doing that and trying that, and it just seemingly I was discouraged because I wasn't getting anywhere. Somebody said, go talk to this one, go talk to that one, go talk. And I'm talking to everybody that I can find that want to talk, and I just can't get any headway on, do we see the problem on the South Side of Midland? Do we see the lack of healthy biblical church on the South Side of Midland? And God allowed me a contact with a group of Christians, a church that took great interest in the alarms that I was putting out and the sound that I was making. They said, I want to talk to you. I want to hear what's going on. What's in your heart? What do you see as eyes and ears and boots on the ground on the south side? What's going on? And they took interest in my heart and my concerns, and we've been yoked together, and we've found a common ground in the desire to serve the purpose of God here on the south side. And so I have been given this opportunity to work with the church, a body, Redeemer. Jason Hatch is the senior pastor, and they have given us this opportunity to come on as an intern pastor with the vision that in a year to 2 years we're going to be able to plant a biblical church together on the south side of Midland. And so it's not just going to be me beating my little Elijah drum, but the body, oversight, others that have different gifts and different vision and different gift sets than just my gift. And so God is yoking me with the body, and I'm thankful to God that he's provided me this support, this family, this church that has a heart for what I see. And so this is a new journey, and this is what I was saying, that things are changing for us. And I just wanted to inform and get out there and let everybody know that it's not that we have lost our vision for here, for even this piece of property and what God would do from this place. I'm open, but I'm it's like a bittersweet. For 4.5 years I've been toiling here, and now we're no longer having service here. We're no longer Jesus Name Holiness Church. We have, he said, in order for something to grow, something has to die. Unless a kernel of grain fall on the ground and die, it remains alone. And so we're allowing Jesus Name Holiness Church to die, that God would bring forth a manifestation of his glory in whatever form he sees fit. And so we're a part of Redeemer, and we are hopeful for the future of Midland and for the future of the Church of Jesus Christ. So that's about right now all I have, and it's new, it's a little nervous and exciting at the same time, but the family is on board. The wife, she's on board. She's seen it before I seen it once again, and she is excited about the future, and the kids, they're excited about the future, and they're like, well, we're going to be going to church more than just us few folks. Yeah, this church is a large church, biggest church I've ever been a part of, and so that to me is a little bit, I don't know, because I am one that I want to be true in all things, but I'm encouraged by this church because their doctrines of articles of faith, are very in alignment with what I believe is very biblical. So I've been impressed with just that, just their standard and their creeds and positions doctrinally are awesome. And so, and believe me, I don't give words for nothing. I believe it because I've seen it and I hear it. And so I'm just excited about this new leg and about this new journey, and I'm thankful to God. And thank God for each of you. Please be in prayer for us, that God would continually keep us focused on his assignment for our lives. Thank you, and may God bless you